Yo, this is BoxingWave back with another video. I'm going to speak about Shane Mosley and his career, his legacy. You guys that subscribe to my channel, you know Shane is like one of my top 5 favorite fighters. And shout out to Demetrius Session. He's a loyal subscriber to the channel. He's a loyal supporter. He always comments on the videos and everything. He asked me to do this video. Okay, so um, excuse me, and I apologize early. I didn't get to check box rec, and I might mix up the order of the fights a little bit. Okay, but being that Shane's like one of my favorite fighters, just I'm just gonna talk about his career as far as what I remember. Just go over some fights and what I think overall. Where is he placed as one of the top welterweights of all time? Okay, Shane started at 135. Okay, or at least I remember him starting. I remember watching him at 135 before Oscar. I've probably seen him a few times before he actually fought Oscar. Okay, I liked him a lot. He was just dominated guys at 135. So I was already a fan of his before he went up to fight Oscar. Okay, he went up to fight Oscar at 147. Before 147, uh, he became champion at 135, but no one like super notable. Not this was a huge step in his career to fight Oscar. I think Oscar at the time only lost at Phyllis Trinidad, a fight that I didn't think Oscar lost, regardless of how he fought. But anyway, that's a different video. So Shane Mosley went up to fight 147 and Oscar. This was his best fight. Out of his whole career, this was his best fight. One of Oscar's best fights. Even though he lost, Sugar Shane, was his most important win against Oscar De La Hoya. Is one of my top 10 favorite fights. Okay, because at the time I was a big Oscar fan, but I knew, Oscar was loved in the game, and he had more charisma than any other boxer at the time. And I knew Shane was, I was rooting for Shane to go up and beat Oscar, and he did, and it was a great match. It was a very good match. Okay, after that, I'm trying to think. I think he had a few title defense. He had he defended the title a few times at 147 before fighting Vernon Forrest. Okay, a lot of history between these two because Vernon Forrest beat him in the amateurs. Okay, and he beat him professionally. The first fight, uh, the first fight is where Forrest knocked him down a couple of times. Okay, and mostly known to have a granite chin, a great chin, and everything. Vernon Forrest hurt him bad, like a couple of times. I think there was a headbutt, and then Vernon Forrest dropped him a couple of times early, hurt him bad, and went on to just beat Shane throughout the rest of the fight. Okay. The second fight, Vernon Forrest, it was a lot more competitive, but Vernon Forrest just had Shane's number. Right? He's like how I feel with Pacquiao and Marquez. I think Marquez, I know Pacquiao has beaten Marquez, but I feel like Marquez always had Pacquiao's number. Like I think as far as legacy is concerned, and rest in peace to Vernon Forrest because we don't know how great he would have been. But as far as legacy is concerned, Shane is always going to be looked at as the better fighter. Like Pacquiao is going to be always, as far as his career, is going to be looked at as the better fighter than Marquez. But Marquez is that one guy that always had Pacquiao's number, you know. So Shane lost to Vernon Forrest twice. And I think after that, I think he fought Oscar De La Hoya in a rematch. I think this was the fight where he moved up and fought. Moved up and fought. He fought Oscar De La Hoya at 154. This is the fight where he used PEDs. Okay, this is when he was on steroids. He admitted to not knowingly using steroids or whatever. And he beat Oscar. A lot of people thought Oscar won this fight. It was a close fight. I haven't watched it again in a long time. I should go back and watch that fight because I think that was a controversial win. I should go back and watch it. Maybe I'll do a video in the future about the two of the fights. But I think Shane won the fight, and then this fight doesn't really count because Shane was on steroids in that fight. Okay, and after he beat Oscar in a rematch at 154, he fought Winky Wright twice. Okay, the first fight, both fights kind of went the same. I think Shane did a little better in a rematch, but Winky Wright seemed to be too big. His defense was too good. Shane really didn't have nothing for him because Shane just couldn't hurt him. Shane was a big puncher at 147, but at 154 it's questionable. But he fought Winky Wright, lost both of those fights, and then from there I believe he went to fight. I think he fought Louis Collazo somewhere around there. I don't know if it was before or after Fernando Vargas, the Fernando Vargas fight. But he beat Louis Collazo. But at the time, Louis Collazo wasn't really that big yet. So I think he gave Collazo his first or second loss. I don't really remember. But he fought Louis Collazo, beat him. And then he fought Fernando Vargas, which was another two good fights. All right, he beat Fernando Vargas twice. Vargas, the first fight was pretty tough. The first fight was a close fight up until the time. Well, Vargas had a big lump on his head, and they eventually stopped the fight. It was like the Hakeem Rockman lump, like the Angulo. Recently, you seen the Angulo fight. It was another lump over his eye. It was a bad swell, but it was much worse than Angulo's. Okay, it was like right under his eyebrow. It was crazy. So Shane beat Fernando Vargas the first fight. They stopped it. In the second fight was easy win for Shane. Shane knocked him out. Shane started using more boxing skills. He used his speed and his footwork in the second fight. He didn't really make it a brawl with Fernando Vargas like the first fight. Shane easily outpointed him in the second fight, knocked him out. Okay. After Fernando Vargas, I'm trying to think. I believe Miguel Cotto might have been next. Okay, I think after he beat Vargas, he beat Miguel Cotto. Or was it Cotto Mayorga? I think it was Miguel Cotto first. All right, he fought Miguel Cotto, lost that fight. Good fight, right? I just thought Miguel Cotto at the time had the hand speed. He outboxed Shane. It was competitive. This is when, I liked Miguel Cotto, but this is when I became a fan. When he beat Shane, started following his career heavy after that. And Miguel Cotto ended up being one of my top 5 favorite fighters, okay? But he beat Shane, which was a competitive fight. And then after that, I think Shane fought Cotto and Mayorga. Now, this fight, I thought Shane was losing this fight. I'm going to be honest right now. Shane's one of my top guys, but I was sitting here watching. I was biting my nails watching that fight. I thought Mayorga was beating him. And it was crazy because I'm like, Mayorga had power, but he was very sloppy. So you would think Mayorga would beat him if it was by a knockout or something. But I didn't never think that Mayorga would be like winning rounds against Shane Mosley. He was beating Shane Mosley. I think I had Shane down maybe a round or two against Mayorga. And then Shane knocks him out in the last round. He knocks him down. He drops him in the last round. And then the last second of the fight, Shane Mosley knocks him out. And I remember when Larry Merchant was like, Shane Mosley, I love you. It was one of those, it was a classic moment for Shane. And then after that fight, who did Shane fight after that? I think it was Antonio Margarito. I think it was, I might got the orders wrong, but I think he fought Margarito. I think Margarito was like the 5-1 favorite, maybe even higher than that. Margarito had just beaten Cotto, and everyone assumed because Margarito beat the hell out of Cotto that it was going to go the same way. But then we had a controversy before the fight where they found a plaster in his gloves. Okay, so mentally, Margarito wasn't there, and then he was fighting Shane Mosley that was fighting like an animal. Shane was fighting like the old Shane Mosley in that fight. He was fighting like a vicious animal, and Shane is a good boxer, but he's a good brawler too. And Margarito had that brawling style of fighting, so I didn't think Shane was going to win that fight, honestly. I remember watching that fight live, and I was at my dad's house, and I told my dad the fight was coming on. He was even like, I'm not watching that. Shane is washed up. Shane fought him and beat the hell out of Margarito for like 8 rounds, and then finally knocked him out. I think it was 8 rounds. And I love that because I was mad Margarito beat up Cotto, And I was mad when Margarito got caught cheating, so I was like, I really wanted Margarito to lose that fight. And after that, uh, nothing much really happened. We know that Shane stepped in the ring, called out Floyd in the ring. Now he ducked Floyd earlier in his career. He definitely ducked Floyd, without a doubt. He ducked Floyd Mayweather earlier in his career, and he called out Floyd. I can't remember what post-fight interview it was where Shane came in the ring and interrupted Floyd from his victory talk, like the way Lara did. But it was even worse. Shane just came in the ring, called him out, and uh, that was his next fight. Okay, but he was like in a year and a half. He did like an 18-month layoff before he ended up fighting Margarito. Fighting Shane. Fighting Floyd Mayweather. This was the last fight that I ever picked Floyd Mayweather to lose. I picked Shane Mosley to win this fight. I wanted Shane to beat Floyd. At the time, I liked Floyd, but I thought he was a cherry picker, so I wanted Shane to beat him. So Shane went in there, and I had like a little fight party at my apartment, my old apartment at the time. It was so small, but I had like a few friends over, and all of them were pro Floyd, and I was the only one that was there rooting for Shane. I remember this fight. I even put money up for this fight. And Shane almost knocked him out in the second round. He hurt him bad, and I was like jumping around, like, yeah, I was screaming. I was talking all this trash, and Shane hurt him again, right? And I knew Shane was going to knock Floyd out, right? So I'm excited. I'm jumping around, talking all this trash. And then, after the second round, that was pretty much the last good round of Shane Mosley's career. Because Floyd Mayweather destroyed him for the rest of the fight. And then that was it. That was the first fight that aged really, Shane Mosley actually looked old. And he looked old for the remainder of his career. That 18-month layoff coming off that win against Margarito, I thought Shane was going to beat Floyd. And Floyd dominated him. And that was that. So after that, let me bring up too, Shane and Zab Judah, they never fought. I wish they fought. I wanted them to fight because I love Zab, and Shane was my guy, but they didn't fight, and I don't know what happened with that fight. I don't remember, but I knew these guys would set up the fight. They even had a face-off, and I think they had like a press conference, but I don't remember. The fight never went down. That would have been a good fight, but I would have went for Shane. I'm always gonna go for Shane. Zab. I think he definitely would have beat Zab Judah, but that would have been a good fight. Okay, so Shane loses to Floyd. He fights Pacquiao, loses to him. Got dominated by Pacquiao. Pacquiao knocked him on the ground. That fight wasn't even close. That was a shutout. And then Shane eventually fought Canelo. I think he fought Sergio Mora. He fought Canelo. Okay, he beat Canelo, but I wasn't really impressed by Canelo or Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley was on his way out. I thought Canelo would have been able to stop him, especially at 154. Shane was already old at the time. He's already lost his fights. And I thought Canelo was just going to beat him quickly, and he didn't. And then after that, I think Shane might have been in one more fight, but I forgot the kid's name. And then we had the last fight where he fought Anthony Mundine. And that fight, he was losing the fight, and then he stopped because he's had back pains or whatever, and that was that. So, to wrap up Shane's career, I think Shane was a great fighter. I think he is a Hall of Famer. I think the steroids might have hurt his career, but a lot of people overlooked it because he had a lot of charisma. Shane was a love fighter. So a lot of people overlooked the fact that he did use steroids and gave him a pass for it. I'm not giving him a pass for it. It did bother me a lot. I'm totally against PEDs and steroids and everything. But, Shane is still one of my favorite guys. He's fought a lot of people in their prime. And he fought people, and he lost a lot of big fights, I can't place him in the mix of the great welterweights. I'm never going to do that, or the junior middleweights. I can never do that because he lost the majority besides beating Oscar, he lost a majority of his fights. You know, he lost to Winky Wright. He lost to Vernon Forrest twice. He lost to Pacquiao, Floyd, Canelo. He's lost to a lot of people, but he has some good wins in there, and he is a Hall of Famer. He's a great fighter. It's just I wouldn't place him in there with Pacquiao's, Floyd's, the fighters from the past like Ray Robinson's, and Ray Leonard's, and Hearns. I wouldn't place him up there with the welterweights, the great junior middleweights. I wouldn't really place him up there, but I wouldn't even. I think even Miguel Cotto had a better legacy than Shane Mosley, because Miguel Cotto won a lot of his fights. You know, he lost to a prime Pacquiao, he lost to a prime Mayweather, but he gave Mayweather a good fight. But Shane Mosley's still one of the greats. Very entertaining fighter. He gave some really good fights, and overall, he's one of my personal favorites. So I have nothing but good to say about him. It's just that I'll sit here. I'll admit he's not an all-time great welterweight. He's not an all-time great, but he's up there, and his name should be mentioned. And even if he were to get in the ring with some of the best welterweights or junior middleweights, I think he was a better welterweight. I think his power stood out more at welterweight. But even if he were to get in there with some of the best welterweights, he would have gave him trouble, especially if he was in his prime. Sugar Shane Mosley in his prime at welterweight would have gave a problem anyway. I always say, like, if Shane fought Floyd at 147, around the time where he fought Oscar the first time, I thought Shane might have won that fight, might have beaten Floyd. But that's either here and there. Floyd beat him later in his career, and that's it. So, that's my thoughts. Shout out to Demetrius Session. He's the one that requested this video, and I'm out. Peace. Subscribe to the channel.